Did you notice when you touch the hand of someone, you feel something? You feel panic, and the teacher calls you out for oral recitation. Things are being regulated by a certain system in our body. Let's dive into the realm of the nervous system. So, what is the nervous system? The nervous system is one of the most important systems in your body because it acts on the control center and communication network. It allows you to interact with the world around you and keeps your internal body function working smoothly. The nervous system is one of the most important systems in your body because it acts as a control center. It allows you to interact with the world around you and keeps your internal body functions working smoothly. The neurons, which is under the nervous system, carry electrical signals to and from your brain and spinal cord. This signal tells your muscles to move. Let your brain know when you feel something and keep all your organs running properly. The nervous system helps different parts of your body work together by sending messages through specialized cells called neurons, which I was said earlier. These messages travel quickly like signals moving through wires, allowing your body to respond immediately to change just around you. The starting point in exploring the nervous system is the neuron, a cell type exemplifying the close fit of form and function that often arises over the course of evolution. What does a neuron look like? A useful analogy to think of a neuron as a tree. A neuron has three main parts: the dendrites, an axon, and a soma, or the cell body. A dendrite is where a neuron receives input from other cells. The axon is the output structure of the neuron. When a neuron wants to talk to another neuron, it sends an electrical message called an action potential throughout the entire axon. And the soma is where the nucleus lies, and where the neuron's DNA is housed, and where proteins are made to be transported throughout the axon and dendrites. There are two main parts of the nervous system: the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is like the command center of the body. It processes information and controls all the activities in your body, both voluntary, like moving your hand, and involuntary, like breathing. The CNS is made up of two main parts, the brain and the spinal cord, while the other one is the peripheral nervous system. It is made up of all the nerves that are outside the central nervous system. These nerves branch out from the brain and spinal cord and reach all parts of your body like a network of telephone lines, connecting every area to the main control center. The PNS connects your body to the CNS and plays a crucial role in sending and receiving signals. As mentioned earlier, brain is the most important organ in the central nervous system. It is divided into cerebrum, the encephalon, brainstem, and cerebellum. The cerebrum is the largest and most obvious portion of the brain. It is divided into two cerebral hemispheres. Each cerebral hemisphere is divided into five lobes, four of which have the same name as the bone over them: the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the occipital lobe, and the temporal lobe. And the fifth lobe is the insula or the island of Ryle that lies deep within the lateral sulcus. The diencephalon is centrally located and is nearly surrounded by the cerebral hemisphere. It is it includes thalamus, hypothalamus, and epithalamus. Thalamus is about 80% of the diencephalons. It consists of two oval masses of gray matter that serve as the relay station of the sensory impulses like the smell, going to the cerebral cortex. The hypothalamus is a small region below the thalamus that plays a key role in maintaining homeostasis because it regulates many visceral activities. And the epithalamus is the most dorsal portion of the encephalons. The small gland is involved in the onset of puberty and rhythmic cycles in the body. It's like a biological clock. Next is the brainstem, that is the region between the diencephalons and the spinal cord. It consists of three parts, the midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. The midbrain is the most superior portion of the brainstem. The pons is the bulging middle portion of the brainstem. The region primarily consists of nerve fibers that form conduction tracts between the higher brain centers and the spinal cord. The medulla oblongata, or simply medulla, extends inferiorly from the pons. It continues from the spinal cord to the foramen magnum. All the ascending sensory and descending nerve fibers connecting the brain and spinal cord pass through the medulla. Next one is the cerebellum, the second largest portion of the brain that is located below the occipital lobes of the cerebrum. Three paired bundles of the myelinated nerve fibers called cerebral peduncles form communication pathways between the cerebellum and other parts of the central nervous system. And the other organ that is essential in the central nervous system is the spinal cord. The spinal cord extends from the foramen magnum at the base of the skull to the level of the first lumbar vertebra. The cord is continuous with the medulla oblongata at the foramen magnum. Like the brain, the spinal cord is surrounded by bone, meninges, and the cerebrospinal fluid. The spinal cord is divided into 31 segments, with each segment giving rise to a pair of spinal nerves. At the distal end of the cord, many spinal nerves extend beyond the conus medullaris to form a collection that resembles a horsetail. This is the quadra inquina. In cross-section, the spinal cord appears in oval in shape. The spinal cord has two main functions. It serves as a conduction pathway for impulses going to and from the brain. Sensory impulses travel to the brain on ascending tracts and cord motor impulses travel on descending tracts. And it serves as a reflex center. The reflex arc is the functional unit of the nervous system. Reflexes are responsible to stimuli that do not require conscious thought and consequently they occur more quickly than reactions that require thought process. For example, with a withdrawal reflex, and the reflex action withdraws the affected part before you are aware of the pain. Many reflexes are mediated in the spinal cord without going to the higher brain centers.
So okay, um, what is peripheral nervous system? And the eyes. Okay, peripheral nervous system is a complex network of nerves that extends beyond your brain and your spinal cord, of course. It acts as a vital communication link, like transmitting information between your central nervous system and the rest of your body. Okay, so muna siya ang tuan, peripheral nervous system. So in peripheral nervous systems, we have two divisions. What we have is the somatic peripheral nervous system and the autonomic peripheral nervous system. So when we say somatic nervous system, it involves our voluntary control. So this system controls voluntary muscle movements. Next is what we have is the sensory input. It receives sensory information from our skin, muscles, and also joints. Next is the motor output. So it sends signals to muscles to initiate movement. Next is the fourth is reflex arcs. It also involves reflex actions like pulling your hand away from a hot surface, which occur automatically without conscious thought. Like, imo ra siyang makalitan kay, syempre, nainitan ka. Okay. Next division is what we call the autonomic nervous system. So, autonomic nervous system also involves our involuntary control. Ganina kay voluntary control karon, involuntary control na. So, this system regulates involuntary bodily functions such as heart rate, digestion, and respiration. So, kayo, naman, right? So next is what we have the sympathetic nervous system. So when we say sympathetic nervous system, it prepares the body for actions, often referred to as the fight or flight response. Kabalo naman tayo ng fight or flight response. So it increases heart rate, blood pressures, and also our breathing rate. So next is what we have the parasympathetic nervous system. So this division promotes relaxations and rest, often called the rest and digest response. It slows down heart rate, lowers blood pressures, and it aids in our digestions.
Now let's talk about the glial cells. So glial cells are sometimes called the glue of the nervous system as well as neuroglia or just glia. These are the non-neuronal cells that support and maintain the nervous system. These are the type of cell that provides physical and chemical support to neurons and maintains their environment. It is located in the central nervous system and in our peripheral nervous system. Types of glial cells. So there are types of glial cells. So glial cells' main job is to support another type of brain cell called neurons. Glial cells are like a secretarial pool for your nervous system and its janitorial and maintenance staff. Glial cells may not do the big jobs in the brain, but without them, those big jobs would never get done. These are the five cell. There are five cell type of glial cells in our CNS: astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, microglia, epidermal cells, and radial glia. We also have cells in our peripheral nervous system. These are the Schwann cells and the satellite cells. Astrocytes is the most common type of glial cells in the CNS. The astro part of the name is because the cells have projections that make them look star-shaped. So its functions are forming the blood-brain barrier, regulating neurotransmitters, cleaning up debris and excess potassium ions, regulating blood flow to the brain based on activity, and synchronizing the activity of axons, then supporting brain energy metabolism and homeostasis. Next is the oligodendrocytes. Oligodendrocytes came from neural stem cells. The word is made up of few Greek terms that mean cells with several branches. The main purpose of oligodendrocytes is to help information move faster along axons in the brain and look like spiky balls, and the tips of the spikes are white shiny membranes that wrap around the axons of nerve cells and form a protective layer. The plastic insulation integral wire. So this protective layer is called the myelin sheath. So the sheath is not continuous, though there's a gap between each membrane that's called the node of Renver. This node helps electrical signals spread efficiently along nerve cells. Signals along myelinated nerves can travel as fast as 200 miles per second. Did you know at birth we only have a few myelinated axons, but the number keeps growing until you're about 25 to 30 years old. Myelination is believed to play an important role in intelligence. Oligodendrocytes also provide stability and carry energy from blood cells to the axons. Next is microglia. Microglia are tiny glia cells, means micro or small. They also have the brain's own dedicated immune system. The brain needs its own immune system because the brain barrier isolates the brain from the rest of your body. Microglia are alert to signals of injury and disease. When they detect a problem, they charge in and take care of it, whether it means clearing away dead cells or getting rid of a toxin or pathogen. When microglia respond to an injury, it causes inflammation as part of the healing process. Next is the epidermal cells. So epidermal cells make up the thin membrane lining the central canal of the spinal cord and the passageway or the ventricles of the brain. They also make cerebrospinal fluid and have an important role in the blood-brain barrier. Epidermal cells are very small and line up tightly to form the membrane inside the ventricles. They have these little hair-like projections, which is cilia, that wave back and forth to keep the cerebrospinal fluid circulating. Next is the radial glia. Radial glia is believed that to be a type of stem cell. This type of cell can create other cells in the developing brainstems are called the parents of neurons, astrocytes, and oligodendrocytes. When you were an embryo, their cells also provided the scaffolding for developing neurons. They provide the long fibers that guide young brain cells into place as your brain forms. Next is the Schwann cells. So, Swan cells are named for Theodore Swan, the physiologist who discovered them. They function like oligodendrocytes by providing myelin sheets for axons. However, swan cells are found in the peripheral nervous system rather than in the central nervous system. Instead of being a central cell with membrane tip arms, swan cells form spinal directly around the axon. The nodes of rambers sit between them just as they do with oligodendrocytes and assist in nerve transmission in the same way. Swan cells are also part of PNS or immune system peripheral immune system cell damage and can eat the nerve's axon and provide a protective path for a new axon to form. Next is the satellite cell. Satellite cells get their name from the way they surround certain neurons with several satellites forming a sheath around the cellular surface. We're start beginning to learn about the satellite cells, but many researchers believe that they're like astrocytes. However, they're found in the PNS, not in the CNS. Satellite cells' main purpose appears to be regulating the environment around the neurons, keeping chemicals in balance. The neurons with satellite cells make a cluster of nerve cells in the autonomic nervous system and the sensory system called ganglia. In summary, glial cells are vital for the proper function, health, and development of the nervous system. Their diverse functions ensure that neurons can communicate efficiently, are protected from damage, and are properly positioned and maintained.
Okay, now let's talk about emotions and how emotions and nervous system interplay with each other. So, the neural basis of emotions are intricate psychological states that involves what we call complex interplay of biological, our cognitive, and behavioral factors. So the nervous systems, particularly our brain, plays a crucial role in generating and of course experiencing emotions. So in the emotions we have key brain structures involves in our emotions. First structures is the amygdala. So when we say amygdala, it is often referred to as the brain's fear center. Fear center. The amygdala plays a significant role in processing emotions, particularly our fear and anxiety. It helps us recognize and respond to potential threats. The second structure is the hypothalamus. So this small but powerful brain region regulates various bodily functions, including the autonomic nervous systems, like what we talked earlier. It plays a crucial role in the physiological responses associated with our emotions, such as increased heart rate and sweating, of course. The third key structures is the hippocampus. When we say hippocampus, it involved our memory formations on retrieval. The hippocampus helps us associate emotional experiences with specific memories. So the fourth is the prefrontal cortex. So this region of the brain is responsible for higher level cognitive functions such as decision making, problem solving, and also emotional regulation, of course. It helps us to understand and control our emotions. So mo to ang emotions na conscious. So that's how emotions and nervous system interplay with each other. So na mag-conscious na siya kay brain structures nga ga connect nila, ga interplay between them. Okay, that's how emotions work in our nervous systems.
Memory and learning. So during embryonic development of the sen is established, although can be modified, this capacity for the nervous system can be modified. The connections between neurons and can be rebuilded, especially in response to its own activity, is called the neuronal plasticity. Neural plasticity is essential to the formation of memories. We're constantly checking what is happening against what just happened. So, learning is defined as the acquisition or modification of knowledge, skills, or behaviors through experience. It's not just a passive process, it involves active changes in the brain's structure and function. Learning involves strengthening or awakening connections between neurons, synapses, or leading to changes in the brain's neural networks. This process is known as the synaptic plasticity. Learning results in the formation of memories which are encoded in these modified neural networks. So types of memory. So we have short-term memory. It holds the information temporarily, typically for a few seconds to minutes. It's essential for immediate task and decision making. So long-term memory, it stores the information for extended periods from minutes to a lifetime. It's crucial for recalling past experiences, knowledge, and skills. So the process of transferring information from short-term to long-term memory is called consolidation. So this involves strengthening synaptic connections and creating new neural pathways. So brain regions involved in memory. So first is hippocampus. It plays a critical role in forming new memories, particularly for declarative memories such as facts and events. It acts as a gateway for transferring information from short-term to long-term memory. Next is the cerebral cortex. It stores long-term memories with different areas specializing in different types of information. For example, the prefrontal cortex is involved in working memory and decision making. Next is amygdala. So, amygdala is a process emotional memories linking emotions to specific experiences. Next is the cerebellum. So, responsible for procedural memories, motor skills, and habits.